About 100 years ago, this big organization with many branches, they wanted to rule the world basically using Britain as a nucleus of a system, an embryo, which also was going to be joined with the US under the Anglo-American establishment, wrote about the kind of culture and the changes of culture over a 100-year period that they would actually design, implement and bring in. And H.G. Wells talked about it too. He talked about arenas. He says arenas could be put up across the world for sports, for instance. Now at that time, sports was something that children, school children were into. Adults became adults and got onto adult things. So it was unimaginable at the time that people could actually believe that there was even a need for adult sports and entertainment, never mind having arenas built across the world. But he said we can do this and foist basically a sports culture for the males using a tribal system. We're all tribal to an extent. That's why we even bother to vote for a tribal leader. This is well understood. That's why we're supplied with these leaders.
That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus.
Alright, so I want to introduce y'all to two concepts today. The first one is Formula One is the canary in the coal mine, and the second one is the technocratic oligarchic apparatus. Now, Formula One is the canary in the coal mine. Why is Formula One the canary in the coal mine? Because, well, if you were paying attention in 2020, when the Formula One couldn't run, when it was decided that Formula One couldn't run, that's when all the other sports stopped running. And Formula One was the first one to start running before everything else started running. So what does that mean? That means Formula One is a testing ground. Okay, we know this. Of course, it's a testing ground for technology, as we know, but it's a vital testing ground for well, just humans, people. You know, the human machine. It's a testing ground for that. So this is it plays a few roles in the technocratic oligarchic apparatus, chiefly to move money, right? That's mainly what it does. Of course, everything is designed to move money because they have to keep the money cycle actually going in order to maintain the society. But anyway, F1 as the canary in the coal mine for the technocratic oligarchic apparatus. Now, what's the technocratic oligarchic apparatus? That's just the technology that's all around you that is owned by oligarchs and that controls you. It's an apparatus, okay? It is their apparatus. They may very well have dials and knobs in the back room, like fucking Alex Jones says, right? Because, you know, weird things happen if you pay attention to what the apparatus does. If you really pay just some close attention for any like discontinued amount of time. I don't know if people actually know how David Icke got banned. David Icke got banned for saying the truth, right? This is the most alarming thing I've seen happen on the internet. It was actually quite hilarious, though, that no one seems to have paid attention to it, right? David Icke got banned for saying the truth. Now, he said the truth 3 weeks before the apparatus admitted to the truth, you see? And that wasn't useful to the apparatus. And it was dangerous because he was actually saying real information. So they said, okay, you're God now. Alex Jones, I mean, they hit him up on previous shit, I suppose, but it doesn't really matter. He had proven to be dangerous anyway. But basically, the apparatus, what it is everything around you. The TV, your phone, the celebrities around you, the weather machines, your car, your car, your house. It's quite literally everything. Your job, you know, it's quite literally everything around you, and it is there to control you because you have to stay a slave to the machine. They don't want you. You see what I'm doing right now, telling you about this shit, like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that, right? Might get in trouble for this shit. But I need folks to actually just understand this so that we can actually plan an angle of attack going forward on this thing. So you've got this apparatus. It exists to control you. There is mind control involved. You know, people, whether they want to believe it or not, like, I've just accepted it now. I've tried to fight this logic for fucking, I don't know, over a decade. It's, with the way things develop, yeah, it's very hard to pretend that this thing isn't real now. So there's mind control involved. Yes, they do have weather machines. I can prove that to you, like, quite frankly, with documents, like, from them. And they have bioweapons. I mean, they've got weather machines, right? Bioweapons aren't a surprise after that. I hope not, at least. Right? So when COVID was let loose, right? However the fuck it got out. It got out, of course. Either from rock, you know, it either got out of, like, some rock, you know, some fossilized bat guano, or it got out the lab. However it got out doesn't really matter, but it got out. And before they knew exactly what it was, they had to actually treat it sincerely. So the Formula One stopped, and so did everything else. You see? So Formula One is your canary in the coal mine. If the F1 stops because of this Russia-Ukraine thing, and the gas prices going up and the food prices going up inevitably, and who the fuck knows what else is coming, right? Because they've done a real fuckery with their timing on this Russia-Ukraine thing. But when all of this shit comes to a head, pay attention to if F1 keeps on running. Because if F1 keeps on running, that's gonna tell me, quite frankly, that whatever's happening is planned. Whatever outcome is now reality from this Russia-Ukraine thing is planned. If the new reserve currency is the yuan or the ruble, then it's planned, right? Especially if the F1 is still going. Now, of course, they did stop for COVID, and I'm saying COVID was planned. It wasn't. They didn't want it to get out. It got out by accident, but they used it anyway to their advantage. And I mean, you can probably find people talking about this who are more informed than I am. I honestly, like, disconnected from the shit because it was just too obvious what was happening. So a lot of places, countries, passed a whole lot of laws under this whole COVID lockdown situation. And yeah, those laws that were passed under emergency powers and all of that, you know, you have to undo them now. But are they really going to be undone? Well, it's anyone's guess. Let's just wait and see what happens, right? But the apparatus, here's the gist of what I'm saying. The apparatus used the event in order to move forward on their plans of totalizing control. Okay? And they're going to keep on doing this incrementally. They've been doing it incrementally for, well, forever. Okay, since forever. If we want to be, like, specific about it, and, you know, have a point where we can really just pinpoint where they really kick off on this ambition, then I suppose the 50s, right? So we're just about, we're close to a century into their design. So it's anyone's guess what's going to happen from now on. But just do be aware, okay? The technocratic oligarchic apparatus is here for you. And there are some tells as to whether we should take what it's doing seriously or not. Alright, there are some tells. So anything that they put onto the actual sports platforms, you know, the sports are there to distract you from the politics, right? So anything that they actually put onto the sports platforms, they want you to see that. They want you to actually be mind controlled by that, quite literally. They want you to be mind controlled by that. Now, you know, it gets complicated because you might want some of those things, right? It gets complicated. But whether these things are promoted or not by the apparatus, it doesn't stop you wanting them, right? That's the bottom line. Just pay attention to the timing of when the apparatus does these things, because the timing is always there to divide and conquer. Because, well, if all of us put our differences aside and just came together on some shit, well, that would be a problem for them. That would be a huge problem. But because no one can actually do that, they can ban men like David Icke for telling the truth. They can ban him. They can censor him. They can remove him from the internet for telling the truth. And no one will really know about it. You see? So I just want people to be aware that if you are indeed going to fight against the apparatus, understand how much control it has already. Alright? And it will not be easy to undo that control, because you're going to have to fight against people that you know, whether you like it or not. And you're going to have to explain to them exactly what the reality of things are. And, you know, sometimes it's just not worth it. But anyway, F1 is your canary in the coal mine. Do be aware of the technocratic oligarchic apparatus. I'll probably make a better video explaining the TOA and all of its tendrils at a later date. But yeah, I'll see you I suppose after qualifying, right? Well, let me keep this a little F1 centric. I'm not gonna bother with like editing a fucking image into this shit or something. But let's keep this a little F1 centric. So Ferrari have yes, your eyes did not lie from Saudi Arabia. Ferrari have indeed unlocked the flexi wing for the season. Now, of course, Red Bull could just follow suit. They do have that materials knowledge in hand already, but it doesn't seem like they want to. But it is worth noting Ferrari have unlocked the flexi wing. The wing does, of course, pass the deflection tests and all of that. So, yeah, it's just going to be a matter of optics whether they want to police that type of flexing or not. That's all, really. Otherwise, it's same as. I mean, I guess there's an Aston Martin observation. This Aston Martin project for Daddy Stroll. Yeah, it's it's just not gonna work out for him. It's a shame, really. What quite the expensive project not to work out, but it's just not gonna work out for him. Yeah. Peace.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there, homie. Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! See, really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go and then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow and then I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win, and then I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death, and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a rap, and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it comes to doing this, and I be banging on my chest, and I bang in the east, and I banging in the west, and I come to give you more, and I will never give you less. You will hear it in the street, and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it, and we all up in the race, and you know we gotta go and try to keep up with the pace. And we struggling and hustling to set it, and to get it, and we always gotta do it, take it to another place. Gotta taste it, and I gotta grab it, and I gotta cut all